Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav Avni, and I'm an alignment coach and energy healing. And this podcast, Healing Conversations for Anything Chronic, is really here to help share the idea, the hope, the methods of healing chronic conditions naturally. Pretty much it. Yeah, it does what it says on the tin, really. So let me introduce our guest today. I have in the studio with me Sarah-Beth Barrett. Sarah-Beth, really lovely to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, einav. It's so lovely to be here today.
Wonderful, wonderful. I am really looking forward to this conversation. I know that we're going to cover a lot of things that I was hoping to get some clarity on myself. So I will find the right moments to ask my questions. But before we get started, tell us something about you. Where do we start?
Sure. Well, we can start with maybe who I am, although that's multifaceted and I find it changes from day to day, from moment to moment. But I am Sarah-Beth. I live in Ontario, Canada, and I am a visual artist and a self-healing facilitator. And I'm incredibly passionate about empowering others to harness their energy in order to heal and grow and thrive in their lives.
And I think it's so important what you just said. I recognize it, of course, from people I work with, but also other conversations I'm having of, this permission, this guidance
Mm.
to be ourselves, to really allow ourselves to be ourselves, and the magic that can happen when we do. And so I'm very excited to hear how you do this and all the journeys with your clients. Um, but I'm really curious, how did that come about? Where did that start from?
A long, long story. Where does it begin? I mean, I think I've always been attuned to energy. I kind of joke saying that energy is my love language and that I'm a highly sensitive person. I can feel the environment around me. I can feel when there's tension. I can feel when, I mean, most of us, we're human beings. We are here to feel.
Mhm.
But there's these subtleties that I can pick up on. And I've always been unconsciously attuned to it. And I think the conscious journey started um, much when I was really, like you mentioned, stepping back into my authenticity and finding that as an adult. I mean, I think as a child, we're sort of like unbridled, just ourselves. And then through conditioning, through external pressures, um, I know myself, my own personal journey, was I silenced myself or I diluted myself. I dimmed my light over time. And I think as an adult was really when I um, rediscovered what authenticity even looked like to me, because it's unique to every individual. And I discovered that through creative expression, in really consciously understanding my own energy, and bringing art and energy together to weave that into my own unique expression. Um, I'm not sure, would it help to share a little bit about when art came into my awareness as a healing tool for the first time?
We go with the flow here. Whatever comes out, we
We
go
go
with
with the
that. It's
flow.
all good.
Yeah. So, I mean, for as long as I can remember, art was a deep passion of mine. I loved creating. It didn't matter what medium I used, but as a child, it was drawing, it was sewing, it was painting, it was using my hands for crafts. It didn't matter. The creative expression was always a part of me. But mentioning the conditioning when I was growing up, um, I was encouraged to pursue more practical careers. So, although art was a deep passion, it was never positioned as a way to create a sustainable life for myself. And so it stayed a hobby over time. And to the point of, You get into your adult years where there's more responsibilities and hobbies get put on the back burner. Especially when I became a mom, so much of me was put on the back burner, and art at that point was considered a luxury to me. But it wasn't until it was 2020 and I was deep in postpartum depression. I was burned out by caregiving for my kindergartner and my infant at the time. And I had lost all sense of myself. And I had lost a sense of joy. And I was so guilty for feeling that I had no joy, even though there was joy surrounding me. And yet I couldn't attune myself to it because my center was off and I couldn't find that, like, who I was beyond a mom. And I remember getting curious, like leading myself with curiosity around, okay, instead of sitting and doom scrolling on my downtime over nap time, what else could I do? Because I don't know who I am, what I love anymore. So I think the first step there was to experiment. And right away, it was like, okay, let's experiment with art because I recalled that bringing me so much joy in my childhood. And so I remember getting a watercolor kit. I had never done watercolor painting before, and I was just playing. And then I picked up the charcoal pencil and I was sketching pictures of my baby and um, playing with pastels. And I remember just like pouring my heart out in these creations and realizing that I was not allowing myself to be expressed in how I needed to express. And that was that first discovery, that link back to art as a form of just feeling again. I had, we're often taught to like just push it away, everything's fine, keep it together. And yet I was falling apart on the inside and I needed to fall apart. I needed to process. And I think art for me at that point in time was an outlet for processing like those very deep, dark feelings that I was trying to deny because I was feeling so much shame for them. And so that was really what ignited back in 2020 into 2021. I was like, just playing with art again and bringing it back in as a source of exploration and really reconnecting back to a sense of myself beyond mom and seeing like, oh yeah, there's so much more to me that has been kind of constrained for this period of time. So that's really where the spark of art as healing, like that link came together.
Mm. I love it. I love it because there's so many things that you're saying that are so important for really for anyone, watching or listening. Because first of all, that permission again to admit that things are not going so well.
Yeah.
And like you say, right? You say, I'm fine. Or yeah, how are you? Yeah, fine. But so many of us actually don't feel that they can say, actually, I'm drowning here. And actually, I could really use some help. Because as soon as you say that, all of a sudden, the problems are, they have their own lives, right? And other people, all
Yeah.
of a sudden, they feel like they can say things or advise things or just really butt in when that's not even what you want when you're feeling in this way. And so the first thing, that you're saying, actually, yes, I noted, I knew that this is how I'm feeling. And then, like you're saying, I'm starting to explore. And so this is the next thing, right? Because I think a lot of the people that I'm in conversations with, they would kind of not even do that. They kind of take it on
Mm.
themselves and kind of maybe even buying into the this is how it's always going to be, or there's nothing I can do. Sometimes people say, oh, I don't even want to go to the doctor, and of course, everyone to themselves. I'm not saying what is right or what is wrong, but I like what you were saying, that you
Mm.
decided to explore what might work for you. And and I think the word that seems to be coming up today a lot is flow already, and just being okay with whatever comes up.
Yeah, and it's such a great point of actually coming to terms with how you're feeling. I think the most courageous step was to admit that I wasn't okay because, modern world we're taught to we're taught that we need to carry all the things, that's just the norm. And so as soon as you're not feeling like you're measuring up to the norm, it's like there's something wrong with me. I need to hide this. I need to hide this and pretend. And I think we're doing ourselves such a disservice when we don't give ourselves permission to not be okay and to let those who love us know that and to ask for support. Because I think it was the hardest thing to do. But as soon as I admitted that and I shared that, that's what opened up the space to then say, okay, what next? What is the support I need? And I didn't really know. Like you said, I was sort of like trying to just find the flow. And I didn't really know, but it's the allowance of that space to then find what you need if you don't know it right away.
Yeah. And then the other thing that you said, which I really like, is like you say, I went into art, and maybe like you say, you had an inclination before, and maybe art was a good thing. I mean, good thing. I mean, in the way that we judge ourselves, right? I'm either good at it or not.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. But in my walk, because I keep talking about how we repress and we keep blocking our
Mhm.
emotions or how we're feeling, and really not admitting, like we just talk about, not admitting how things are really going for us. Um, when I walk with people, a lot of the time the question of journaling come up, and then
Yeah.
and I must admit I hate journaling, but it's
We all have our own preferred tools. It's all good. You can hate it all you want.
but that's the point. But the point is that I don't like it. It's I don't have the time of day
Mm.
for that. I really do appreciate it, and I definitely appreciate the relief that comes with it.
Yeah.
And so that's what, when I'm talking to people, I always say, there's different types of journaling that you can do, and I definitely propose it to all of my clients actually. I also tell them that I don't like it, but I do believe in it. But here, what you are saying is actually forget writing. You don't have to write it.
Yeah.
Art, and you don't have to be good at it. That's it's something that's good for
No,
me to know. It's an incredible outlet, right?
absolutely. It
You,
is. It was such an important outlet for me, and I think it can be for anyone. Like you said, you don't have to be quote unquote good at art, and that's why over the last 2 years I had been hosting these creative expression workshops in person at this magical art studio, local art studio. I partnered with the studio owner, and we wove together this opportunity for women to come into the studio and create, and also wove in, part of the energy side and the meditative introspective side of my body of work. And it was about the process, about allowing yourself presence in being present with yourself and your feelings. And I mean, we were surprised because there would be people coming in, completely strangers, and the depth that we would get, the emotions that would surface in those 2 hours together, we went deep. And that's what it's allowing, that space and creating that container for yourself to just express. I think it doesn't matter the product that comes out of it. Yes, you can have a tangible art that comes out of it, which is also kind of gratifying as well. But we really leaned into just being present and experiencing the creative flow. That is like that's where the magic happens.
I can just imagine that. Like really, again, going into a place where there is nothing, there is no right, there is no wrong, there is no conditioning, there is no should or need or anything. It really is just, actually the encouragement to be you, right? Find that thing that you've been hiding and burying, so deep down for so many years. And
Hmm.
I can absolutely imagine what came out of that.
Yeah,
It's very, very good.
they were fun. And I think it was just a way for myself to so I wanted this connection with others, but un not I hadn't realized what it was unlocking in me, in actually finding a medium that I could master, that I could go deeper into. And it was just like through that play and experimentation with so many different, we did pottery, we got our hands dirty, we did painting, we did all sorts of painting. We made mugs. This is actually one of the mugs that I made. So, and it's so through that exploration is how I discovered my own like deeper gifts that I hadn't even realized were available to me. So it's, yeah, art as just even a tool for healing, like using the process as a tool has been incredible in particularly in emotional healing, because it's all about expressing ourselves in that process.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. I say exactly in the sense that, when we talk about unrepressing our emotions, this is, sounds like a wonderful tool that
Mm.
that we can all use. And so I'm wondering, you mentioned before about your own chronic pain journey. Was
Mm.
that using all the art and was that part of the healing journey, or did that happen beforehand?
Yeah, it was happening in parallel, which I don't believe in any coincidences. So I'm sure it contributed to that. But yeah, so I mean, the mind is really where I began a very intentional healing journey. Um, it was through the mind. So I became qualified as a mindset coach and learned about the power of energy and words and the stories that we tell ourselves, the beliefs that we have about ourselves and others, and the energy that these words carry. They can be quite supportive, or they can really be, you can often be your own worst critic. And that energy can really have an impact on your well-being. And so right around, coming out of burnout, caregiver burnout, and like bringing myself back to, okay, yes, I am a whole human being beyond a mother. I discovered coaching, and it was, the best way to access energy was through the mind for me, because I came from very like masculine, like logic first. And so it was like it really served um that logical side of me, and it helped to open up my intuitive side, my intuition, and really like help me become more receptive to just even like how energy interacts with the mind and beyond, and the body and the subtle body and our soul essence. And so um at that, so when I began through coaching, and I began serving others and like helping shift that energy through the mind, I then discovered Reiki and the intuitive intelligence method, that I became qualified both in Reiki and the method. And that sort of like holistically wrapped me around this like broadened awareness of all the ways we can harness our own energy. So um at the time I was living with hypertension. I was diagnosed with hypertension in my 20s. So it was over a decade that I was living with hypertension. I was told it was never going to go away. I didn't have any control over it. And so I was sort of like, I had this belief and I held this belief for years. In parallel, I had um, what they believed was causing the hypertension, a congenital kidney blockage. I had several surgeries, again, was living with this for about 13 years. And even with the surgeries to clear blockages, um, it was always, there was this like on this cusp. So I have this, I would get an annual test of my kidney being on the cusp of blocked versus clear. And I was always on the cusp, even after surgery. And again, I was told like that's just how it's probably going to be for the rest of your life. And I think there was a period of resistance of like, no, I'm gonna fight against it. But that wasn't the energy that was serving me either, because it wasn't a supportive, like, I'm gonna fight against it. It was more like, okay, how can I work with my body? How can I work with almost surrender into my reality? That really shifted things for me. And I came into this level of acceptance. And right at the same time was exploring the world of energy healing and integrating what I was experiencing in all of these different qualifications for myself. And through this like intentionality of, okay, how am I shifting my energy? How am I shifting my beliefs, the narratives that I tell myself? How am I supporting my body, my physical body? It was that holistic picture that then came about, and I never had this very specific, like, I am going to heal myself, because I was always told I could never heal. And then one day I woke up and I was dizzy and I checked my blood pressure and it was low. And I was like, okay, weird. I checked it again later. It was low. Checked in the next day, it was low. And I called my nephrologist and I was pulled off my hypertension medication. And I've been off my medication for 2 years. I've been discharged from the nephrologist for 2 years. And again, it was sort of like there was no real explanation, but they were happy for me. I was happy. I was kind of in disbelief at the time because I never thought it was an option for me. But then looking back, I see how it all makes sense, because I was doing all the work and I was being very intentional with my thoughts and with my energy and with it's the most simple, subtle shifts that add up over time that you look back and you're like, oh, of course. And then it wasn't until it was about a year and a half later, and I had done my annual renal scan, which, I was just like, okay, it's just going to be borderline again. That's fine. I've accepted it. And I get a call. This was a week after I completed my subconscious fear release qualification. So we were like going deep into the subconscious and really unpacking fear and transmuting it into higher vibrations of love, of gratitude. I get this call from my urologist and he's kind of annoyed because he goes, yeah, your results are normal. And he says, I have no explanation for this. It doesn't make sense, but this test is accurate. And so I've now been discharged from my urologist, and two very significant chronic illnesses, chronic conditions that I've been living for over a decade, thinking I'd never be rid of them. It was life-changing to receive that news and to see the synchronicities between all of the work, the devotion that I had been giving into my own healing journey without even realizing, like without being attached to necessarily the outcome. And it was just even better than I could have imagined.
It's really interesting for me listening to what you're saying, because it feels like you really moved from, I'm going to say, from your head to your heart. So it really does feel like there was that journey, not only of releasing fear, understanding fear, facing fear, going deep into the fear, and finding this other channel of love, acceptance, creativity, art, permissions, flow, all of these words. But really because you went there with no real expectations, no real even, imagination that you could ever, heal yourself, it really does feel like there was that surrendering and
Yeah.
just, allowing for the things to, to happen as they needed to happen, without you needing to be in control, without you actually saying, I've been ill for, a decade, and it hasn't healed yet, then, it must be something wrong, or I will always be, going around with these conditions and stuff, which of course is something that we find ourselves, if people that
Mm,
in a healing journey, they find themselves saying that a lot.
yeah.
And the other thing that I'm happy that you mentioned was really the energy of words, right? And how negativity and over worrying and over all of these things that are very normal when you're on a healing journey, how much impact they can have on us and on healing. Um, so so tell me a little bit more about the energy healing modalities that you using, or that you've used.
Sure. Yeah. So, the intuitive intelligence method, uh, this is all about diving into fear, but it's not necessarily the fears that we're aware of. There's so much housed in our subconscious that is so deeply rooted in our unconscious patterns. It's deeply rooted. It can cause physical symptoms, it can cause emotional symptoms that we might not be consciously aware of. And so this modality really helped me um, learn a way to access that in myself and in others and help others. Because I never call myself like, I am not healing someone else. I am enabling them to heal themselves. I truly believe that each and every one of us has the power to heal ourselves.
Mm.
And so this particular modality I found was powerful in that we it's primarily using intuition, which we all have access to, using intuition to uproot what is that dominant fear that's present that's causing chaos. Bring it to the surface, shine a light on it and really understand, okay, like what is going on here? What's its signature? And then together, how do we cultivate a different energetic signature for that? And how do we bring it into the light so that we can transmute it into love and access those higher vibrations. And so it's really a very interesting intuitive process that helps to shine a light on fear that we might not even be aware of, and work together to alchemize a different energy that serves the physical body, the emotional body, the spiritual body. And then in parallel, what I loved about Reiki, again, it's like it's using the foundation of intuition, but I love it's connected in terms of the intuitive intelligence method, in that you access the chakra systems, the energy centers in your subtle body, and find ways. And I like leveraging Reiki. I like co-creating with the person that I'm working with, and that like we together can realign those the chakra centers. And so what I've loved about these two modalities is the fact that it does access different energy bodies, the different chakras within ourselves, as well as really leaning into intuition, which was something that I didn't actually fully realize we all had. It's just a muscle that we all build over time. And I find is such a powerful tool to have when we're trying to work with our energy.
Mm. I think it's very interesting. Again, favorite phrase today. When we have conversations right? It's always about this, the conscious mind. The conscious
Yeah.
mind is always there. It's always there interfering. It's always there judging. Always there saying, "Pfft, I don't know, I don't know," or or I've sometimes people that I speak with, and they said to me, I've been to talk therapy, and it hasn't helped. So many people say that
Yeah.
to me, and so when I ask questions, they default to that. I'm like, I'm not talking to you about anything really. I mean, yes, you are talking. I'm listening to your energy. I'm not. Your words are not so much, not so important to me. So,
It's just a distraction. That's just a facade. We're going underneath that.
but that's what I do, because
Yeah.
I listen, I really listen to the energy, and then I find the questions that I want to ask. But when people are
Mm.
so, they think I'm doing what talk therapy does, which is really about the words, and I'm like, it really isn't about the words. Um, but what you are describing is actually finding a way, which of course I'm sure that you know exactly how to repeat it, but is finding that way of going underneath, going below, going into that place where it really matters, and where the conscious mind is not there to interfere. And actually maybe both of them, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, are in agreement that it's probably better all around to find the answers rather than to hide them or push them away.
And I think that's so powerful about energy. That's what you can go underneath it's beyond the surface level. There's different energetic layers. And it sounds to me that, yeah, like myself, you are accessing what's underneath. What is that dance that's happening? What is the signature of or the vibration of what they're saying, or the vibration of how you just even seeing someone's body language, but even the subtle body, like you can, when you're accessing it through your intuition, you can sense that in different ways that goes beyond the surface. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, it's uh, it's definitely fascinating. But it is also really interesting when people don't know that, and so they tell a
Mm.
story, and I'm like, that's no it, that's no it, that's no it.
Mm.
And then they say something like, this is it, this is what we need to talk about, this is what we need to work on. And
Yeah.
or sometimes I was working with one person, and she was saying the words, and I'm like, I feel this undeniable
Yes.
bucket of fear that is here, and it's bubbling underneath the surface. And I'm like, we don't need to talk about these things that you think that we need to talk about. We really need to to start finding a way to reassure, to examine that fear, because it's not nothing productive, I guess, is coming out of fear. It's just a way to block us. um yeah, but just interesting.
Well, and it's scary. I think it's scary to face a fear, right? I think this type of work, I mean, some would call it shadow work, right? It's shining a light in places where you're often like the brain wants to keep you safe. So the brain's like, whoa, 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 don't go there.
Yeah,
That's not safe. So you're consciously going against the either what you've been taught or what just like how your brain is programmed. And I think it takes a lot of courage for individuals to go there. And I think, yes, you reap the rewards when you go deep, but it's often such a that's where I see the limitations. Sometimes people are just like, I don't have that capacity, or I it's just I'm not ready, or there's just things that limit that going deeper. And I understand that because it's scary, and it takes commitment and persistence often, because you don't see it's not a quick fix. But I think what I've seen, and I'm sure how you've witnessed with your clients as well, is when we do go there and when we do devote ourselves, no matter how long it takes, it's still the transformation that can occur is so it is worth it.
what you're saying now, this is what I feel so strongly about, because
Mm.
a lot of the time when I have conversations with people, maybe before we start working together, or maybe later on, then we'll find an excuse why not to work together. But this is exactly that, because all of a sudden it's on the table that there will be a transformation. And now
Yeah.
people need to trust you, or us, or themselves, that actually the change is not going to be temporary. That is not going to just be, something that, with time they're just going to be able to go back to how they used to be. And
Yeah.
this is change, right? This is a journey of change, which is really scary, because I remember, some years ago, my older brother died. and
Mm.
uh, and I remember thinking I couldn't allow myself to grieve, because if I started, I don't know where it will go. I couldn't even. I just couldn't. And it's funny, because I was, using my conscious awareness to try and deal with something that was definitely emotional. So
Yeah.
so knowing that actually this felt so big, and I was so alone in all of this, was
Mm.
actually, let me do what I tell my client not to do. Let me bury all of my
So
emotions.
human. So human.
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? And what you're saying is that actually I'm here to catch you. We will go
Yeah.
through this together. And
Yeah.
it's not really about easy or hard or deep or whatever it is. The work can be done. And once you allow yourself to do that, y- you know, from there you can only soar, really. There's not going to be a reburying process at the end of it.
Uh, you don't have to be alone, and you're never alone. I think too is just even my journey of trusting that I am held in the deeper universal energy that surrounds us. And but yes, I mean, this is why I do what I do, is to help others see that they don't have to be alone in what can feel like a very, very terrifying step to take. Even if it's something that you want so badly, it's different from what you know. And so
Exactly. You have
you're
no.
going against everything that your brain is saying, don't go there.
Exactly. You don't have the map, and it feels very like
Yeah.
never going to happen. And now go argue. I don't argue. But
Yeah.
so I want to bring us back to the art that you do,
Hmm.
and of course behind you are some beautiful images that you're.
Yes, these are mine.
Yeah. So tell me, where are we now with it? What is the
Yeah.
missing link here from that beginning journey of finding the energy and healing yourself to now?
Yeah. So this was really, I mean, it's a culmination of my own healing journey, discovery of my gifts as a self-healing facilitator, and then weaving in my passion for art. It was truthfully, I woke up January one morning, and I had a very strong vision, like almost like it felt like a dream. And I woke up and I was like, I think I'm meant to create oracle card decks. And I was like, I mean, I love the images in oracle card decks, but I had at that point back in January. So what are we, 7, 8, 9 months
September.
ago? What are we, like, mental math here? I had no technical know-how of how to do it. But then that same day, it came into my awareness that one of my connections was actually looking to uh, brush off her activation deck. She had activation cards for her clients, and she was thinking, like, I'd love to bring images into it. And so when I was telling her this vision that I had, she said, would you be interested in partnering with me on this? And I said, yes. I have no idea how, but I'm going to find a way. And it was this, looking back, it felt like an initiation, because that deck that I received the activations that she had nothing else. And I tuned into her essence and the energy of her body of work. And the creations came through me within 2 weeks. And that she was that was not normal, and it was intense. It actually felt like a physical birth, like I was getting labor pains, and it was just it was very intense, but it felt there was something neutral about it, in that like I just knew it had to be birthed, it had to be birthed. And she looked at me at one point in the process, when I think it was early on, when I shared some of the initial images, and she looked at me, and she well, after crying, because she just was overcome, she looked at me, she said, "This is not normal. This is, you've never done this before." And I truly, I was kind of in the dark, like I was surprising myself. And then that was when it really came into my conscious awareness that perhaps like this is supposed to be part of my journey. And it was after that, like the birth of this card deck, that it was the birth of this part of my business. And it shifted into Source Expressions, which the name really came through naturally, in that it's this co-creation with energy, with source energy, with universal energy. And I am the channel. These are not necessarily images that I design with my logic conscious brain, but it's tuning into the energy and the intentions behind the energy, to then visualize without having to say a word, visualize that energy. And from then, it's sort of like my technical knowledge exploded, because I dove deep into just the learning journey. And then again, like this, using, leveraging experimentation and just allowing the creative flow to unfold. And I look at how far I've come over the last 9 months to now really go beyond. The beginning was sort of like, wow, these are beautiful pictures. Okay, great. And then, but there was something, once I was starting to hear from my clients, they were saying, um, I'm meditating with this, and I'm being, it's in my space now, and I'm feeling calmer, and I'm feeling this sense of balance. Or like another, just even after that card deck was shared, um, it was almost this, so it was an activation deck. So that, even the energy behind the word activation, it was drawing out aspects of people, of things that their highest expression of themselves, like
We just have a little freeze. Let's just wait.
oh,
Right.
there you are. Can
We're
you hear
back.
me?
We're back. The
Okay,
internet is unstable, but I guess
that's
it's,
okay.
sorry about that.
No,
Let's
no,
get back to where we were.
that's okay. And so it was at that point where I was starting to hear, and it was occurring to me that they weren't just pretty pictures, that of course there's energy behind images, because everything in the world is energy. Even like you and me, we are energy in motion. And so when I was making that connection, that I could then be very consciously intentional in working with others to weave in their intentions, whether it's to heal an aspect of themselves, or to align to a higher expression, to the highest expression of themselves. So it was working, just even going into more complexity. When I look at, these images, they are layers upon layers of symbols and geometric patterns, and um, different, elements, nature elements. You have different, you have water and cosmic energy, and they're they're these complex images that I never knew I was capable of creating, but now linking it into energy, it has made so much conscious sense to me now, and witnessing the change that it can offer in others. it has clicked something into place for me that I never thought it was even a possibility for just even for my personal journey, but also as a business to offer this as an energy healing tool
Mm.
in the toolkit. And it's something that's physical that can live in your space that you can work with on a daily basis that can offer that vibration that you're looking to align to. It brings me so much joy to witness that in others and to be able to bring this to life for others.
I was in a meeting with one of my colleagues actually, and at the beginning of the meeting, she has some cards, and she pulled one up, and so the first thing was to do with the color, and the other thing was to do with the hertz, frequency
Yes.
for the energy. And it was really interesting because all she did was show the card to the camera. I think I have it here, so I have to do it. I have to do
You
it.
have to.
Exactly. Well, I'm just gonna go with the one that she has. Michelle, if you're
Oh,
watching
okay.
it. Right? So she was just holding it to the camera, and
Yeah.
we were all looking at this card, and then after a couple of minutes, we could really feel this shift in the way that we were feeling.
Mm.
It was just like it was magic. It was like, what? So
Where your attention goes, where your attention goes, intention flows. So it makes so much sense that you would bringing your attention to this visual energy, you're aligning to whatever vibration, the intention behind it. Yeah, of
yeah.
course, it does make sense to me.
Exactly. It's just that it was very interesting,
That's
especially
powerful.
exactly. But you're saying that so now you're using the art and the images as energy healing. Is that
Mm.
are you doing? I mean, is it? Are you? I'm going to say just, but I'm not meaning it as a just. But is it mainly through the oracle cards, or do you work now individually with people, with these images and healing?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's three ways right now. I've actually just recently opened up an online shop. So to offer a way to share my creations more broadly, I sell my images on Canvas. And so there are some that I've created that there's a collection that I'm creating right now that is all in terms of different qualities, values. So like trust. There's one image that has the resonance of trust. There's another with the resonance of playfulness, wonder, compassion. So I've created this series of like one word values that you can interact with the frequency of the essence of that value that are available on Canvas. So that is one way. It's more, just working with an image that's already created. But I do um, offer, if you want something more personal, you can absolutely commission me to create a custom piece. And these pieces align with your unique intentions. So whether it's capturing, like I was saying, a specific energy or experience or desire, so it can be healing something that you're conscious or even unconscious about, or looking to align to a different expression in your life or a different looking it's kind of an embodiment practice. If there are certain qualities that you're desiring to embody or to bring more of into your life, then I weave that into the custom commissions. But yes, I think I absolutely love co-creating with providers, like energy healers, coaches, therapists. They want to add this extra layer to their work. And so these custom oracle card, activation card, whatever kind of cards that they want to create, they can be such a game changer because it offers their clients a tangible way to stay connected to their guidance, and it amplifies the impact of the work that they do with their clients, but also it can broaden their reach by offering this, this tangible expression of your body of work to their audience in a very accessible way. And then they can, hold the magic in their hands on a daily basis. So those are like the three main ways that folks can interact with my art. Aside from, I mean, I post my artwork all the time on Instagram and TikTok. So you can just even experience those visual meditations on a daily basis that way.
Mm. It sounds like magic. I did look through your website, and I love the images. They're very, yeah, they definitely draw something out of you when you engage with them or interact with them.
Thank you.
So Sarah, we are about to come to the end of the conversation. What is one message that you'd like to leave our listeners or viewers with?
My message is that it doesn't actually matter the tool for healing. The tools don't matter. It's your intention, and it is through your own devotion and exploration with the different modalities out there and a combination of them that will support you in the most nourishing way. And you get to decide. None of us are going to tell you what is the best modality. It's not just one, but it's that collection, and you get to formulate that for yourself and just enjoy playing in that space of possibility that any sort of tool can be supportive in your intentional healing journey.
I love that. I love that. It's funny. I was recording a video earlier today, and basically said the same kind of thing. So,
We're on the same wavelength today.
really are, really are.
Speaking of energy.
It's really funny. But this conversation will be so wonderful and enlightening, and I loved all of this thing that you mentioned. There's so much, I think, really permission that comes up of here to really allow people to explore and to dare to just say something, to find another way, not to settle, not to, even, the conditioning. Of course, when we face conditioning, we have no idea that we are conditioned and that we are actually, walking on automatic without paying attention. But yeah, just if you know where you want to be, then question it, and then find your way forward.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on here today.
Brilliant. No, thank you so much for being here. And just a note, of course, for anyone listening or anyone viewing, all of your information, how to reach you, how to find out more about you, is all going to be in the show notes. So people are definitely invited to get in touch, ask questions, interact, and connect. Thank you so much, Sarah-Beth, for being here with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.